That's good. All right. So, what do you think about the whole transfer portal and the NCAA?
So I really think there has to be some changes. I didn't like that. I didn't know they could
Yeah.
do that. Now, it's the same thing with football. They were doing it during bowl games. But I don't really carry a bowl game as much as if you're in the play, like if you're in the top 4 and you're in the playoffs, then there should be no like
Yeah,
transfer,
for
anything,
basketball.
hires or anything
Yeah.
like that. But when you're in the March Madness and you transfer during your team is in the damn tournament, or the coach. It's
Hmm.
like I see coaches got hired for different positions. Now, honestly, like those coaches have lost and everything like that. But I really think there should be transfer porters should be
A
done.
one-time thing.
Oh, for basketball,
For basketball, I think it should be
I think it should be a one-time thing for basketball,
hmm.
and then football, I think it should be a one-time thing like for football. Like they have it spring and fall now, or something like that. I think they have it
Hmm.
twice. I'm not sure. I have to look that up. But I really think it should just be once. A one transfer portal thing, and it should be before um or it should be after March Madness.
Where everybody can transfer.
Yeah. So every after March Madness and everything and everybody can start transferring. The same thing
Yeah.
with the playoffs. Everything should be after the playoffs.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like now paperwork submitted because after March Madness, I think what the school year ends in June or May or June, late May, early June. So
But they're doing year round. So,
yeah, they're doing year round. So it should be straight after the playoffs. It should be done after the playoffs, and it should be done after the March Madness. So we're
yeah.
looking at like April time frame. So the end of April, early May should be the transfer portal.
Yeah, because I'm just estimating, but I think it's around 1,400 kids that's in the portal,
Yeah.
and it's not that many colleges as it is. It's not 1,400 D1 colleges, so a lot of those kids are just going to be stuck in the
Well, as far
portal.
as basketball,
Yeah, as
basketball
far as basketball, yeah.
has a big like a pool. You know what I mean? And some of these
Mhm.
kids are just trying to get playing time. You know what I
And
mean?
what sucks is that for the high school kids, they're only taking the
Creme de la
the blue
creme,
chips.
bro. If
Yeah,
you ain't in the
they're only
McDonald's,
taking the blue chips that's getting
if you
the
ain't on the McDonald's All Star team, I'm saying, but it's just
no,
like,
it really
but
no that really is
it
true. Like
it
if you don't have like if you're not like a blue chip type of player, it's hard for you to get a D1 scholarship.
I would just tell kids now, like it's come to a certain situation now that you need to really talk to your kids. You really need to tell kids. If you're a coach and you don't have kids, and you need to tell the kids, like, hey, you really want to love this game. Now, I understand you want to get to the next level, but we have to understand, like, now that there's NIL money involved, now that this is a business, you know, you have to look at it like get your you really have to focus on your grades because now they're looking at this transfer portal and they're just knocking people off if you're not even in the grade point average.
Yeah.
Like there's do like that's what teams are doing. You know what I mean? Unless you were a 5 star, run a 4.3, you know what I mean? Like some outstanding stuff, then people may be like, oh, we'll work with his grades or something like that. But if you don't have the grades and you got an attitude problem and stuff, and we got to coach effort and certain things like that, because they're going to interview you. They're not just
Hmm.
going to take you. They're going to talk to you. They're going to on the phone. They're going to have somebody fly out to you. They're going to interview you. They're going to look at your family aspect of it. They're going to look at the supporting cast. They're going to be like, is this kid going to be a problem? Is this guy going to be worth the 100 grand or 6 figures that we're going to put into this because we only have a certain amount of like a $12 million budget and we really need a D tackle instead of a wide receiver. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
got to start thinking about that. So it's a business now, ladies and gentlemen, and this is for women's sports too. I mean, as far as college, it looks like
Oh yeah.
it's a business now, and you have to understand like if you're gonna, and I tell my daughter this like, and that's why you have to have limits as parents. Now you have to go to a certain level. And then if you want it more than your kid, you know what I mean?
It's
If
not gonna
you're
work.
the one that is investing all this money and you have to wake your kid up in the morning, if you have to force your kid to do something. If you're yelling at your kid, be like, because you're not getting what you paid into, like what you invested, then it's time to just take a step back and be like, you know what? There's rec ball for cheaper. There's high school sports. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the
pivot.
travel
Yeah.
AAU teams and stuff like that. You guys have to understand, like, you know, and then you have to watch out for some organizations that are all about money grabbers. Like
Yeah.
some organizations used to be really good,
Uh,
used to be
Yeah,
really
about
like
nurturing talent and
nurturing talent,
developing
care,
and all that.
developing.
Now,
Now
yeah,
they got to a certain point to where it'd be like, hey, it's the brand that you're paying for.
yeah,
And then they'll just put your and then they, a lot of people feel like, oh well, my kid plays for this organization, so we're automatically gonna be a scholarship. And I'm like, maybe, but you know what I mean? It goes in along to it. So now it's getting to a point where it doesn't even matter what high school you go to. It's a matter about like what AA. I mean, only football. Football is what high school. I mean, unless you are doing some crazy stuff. You know what I mean? If you're running for 1,500 yards and 20 touchdowns, you know what I mean? You're gonna get looked at. You know what I mean? If you're
yeah,
if you're a quarterback and you're throwing 3,000 yards and 20 something touchdowns, you're gonna be looked at. And just hopefully you got your grades, you know what I mean, in order. Now basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, some of these other they're all about AAU teams and traveling to Houston, traveling to Dallas, getting out there and having your kid being seen by these people and produce, man, that's a lot, man.
yeah,
It's a lot of investment. So you definitely parents have to find out if their kid has it or not. A lot of people will be like, "We'll take it all the way up to high school," and they pay all this money, and then your kid end up going to a D3, which is success still. And
yeah.
people have to understand that
Like I say, is that as long as your kid can go to whether it's D1, two, or three, as long as they
FCS.
go to a school to where they're getting their education paid for, hey, that's a win.
That's a win. So
That's
that's
a
like,
win.
if you don't if you pay all this money and your son or daughter doesn't like goes to this, has to go to junior college or has to go to this, D3 school, and then, they look at it as a failure and all of a sudden they like, you know what, it's not for me and I'll go to college and that to me to me that you wasted your investment. You know what I mean? To me, like if they drop out or something, or they don't feel like it's just you'll. And I believe some people, you know, just have to understand. Like we understand, we have to get kids out of trouble, right?
Yeah.
We got to keep kids busy because if you don't keep kids busy, they get in trouble. They get into shit.
Yeah,
Baby
I don't
drugs.
mind. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I understand that, but do it to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like when you're doing thousands of dollars and stuff like that, and you think your son could be this if he gets more of this, like the coach is going to tell you. Like if they're not going to say it to like they're probably going to
I,
say it
I,
once.
it just depends. Some coaches will lie
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah, and then some coaches will lie to you, but you have to see it. If I'm paying for this, if I'm paying for this trainer and my kid is not producing, you know what I mean? Is not hitting the ball, the numbers, nothing's producing, especially after a year of that training. You could try another trainer after that,
Yeah.
but after a year after that, that's two trainers and 2 years in investment, and your son or daughter is not doing it. It's time to just call it for what it is. Hey, let's focus on what do you want to do for a career. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's work
Yeah.
on some certifications or something like that. Let's work on some blue collar jobs. But I absolutely believe that it needs to change the transfer portal. And I believe it has to be after the playoffs, after the championship for the
Mhm.
NCAA football, and after, the championship of, March Madness. It has to be after. And then after
Yeah.
that, everybody is full range coaching, kids, everything. Everybody's
Yeah,
like,
I agree. I think it definitely
yeah.
needs to be after
Because you
March
could kill a
Madness.
program. You can kill a program.
It's these coaches, they um is the recruiting process is 24/7. They got to recruit the kids they still have on the team, then they have to recruit um incoming talent or potential talent.
Yeah.
Um yeah, then it like I said, it sucks for kids that's in high school too because guys that's maybe a 3 to 4 star talent that used to get D1 offers. Now they're not because the coaches they'd rather go with the sure thing that can play right away than to have a high school kid and you have to wait and develop them and like you said, at the end of the day, it's about results for these
Yeah.
coaches. You know, the coaches they have to
And you can,
produce. They have
and
to
a lot of
produce,
kids
otherwise they
need,
get fired.
yeah, and then a lot of things is you can still do that too. Like even if you go to a D2, you can still transfer to a D1. You can still
Hmm.
go transfer to FCS. Like it's not all the be all if you go to a lower level. Like you know what I mean? Like you could still transfer. So if you say, for instance, the first year you don't get picked up by, like the UTSA. You know what I mean? You're in San Antonio kid. You go to what's the school around here? Taft High School. You're a quarterback. You're a 3, 4 star. UTSA picks you up. That's still D1, and you still can transfer somewhere else to UT. Like UT, like you ball out of control, and UT is looking for like a quarterback or
Cam
something. You know
Ward,
what I mean? Cam Ward. Cam Ward went to what
UTSA.
UTSA. Then he went to Washington State. Then he transferred to Hurricanes, and now he's going to be the number 1 draft pick. So ladies and gentlemen, it's the journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a journey. Sometimes people get lucky and end up exactly where they want to be, and they start and they play and they be productive. But we just have to understand this is a business now, and we have to make sure that we understand it's a marathon and not a sprint. And but parents actually have to know to where like, hey, I spent all this money and did all these things. You know what I mean? Like if you want it more than the kid, it's a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
it's a
That's it.
it's a problem,
If you
man.
want it more than the kid, then
It's
you
it's
got
just
it's a
And
problem.
I
You gotta
and I
really
gave my kid
evaluate.
a cutoff. I gave my kid a cutoff. I told her, I was like, hey, look, real talk. I'm gonna lead you to water. I can't make you drink it, but I'll give you till your 7th grade. You know what I mean? Until you enter your 7th grade, I'll give you that. And if you want to continue playing softball and we're seeing results, and this is something that you see yourself doing for the next, 6 years and wanting to go to the next level, then I would invest in that. But after that, if I'm not seeing it and I got all these coaches, the agility coaches, pitching coaches, hitting coaches, and we paying for a travel ball, like I'm spending thousands of dollars or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, we just gonna start investing in something else. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah. So yeah, they need to change it.